Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Food Tech Geeks, where I, Rachna Sharma, upload videos, lectures, tutorials, career guidance videos on food science and technology. So this video is fifth video in the series where we discuss certain important questions for various food tech competitive and entrance exams. So let's start with today's set of questions. So question number first, pH of honey is, and the options are given. So the pH of honey is not a particular certain value, but there is a range for the pH of honey, and the range varies from 3.5 to 5.5. So the answer to this question is option B, that is 3.2 to 4.2. So the pH of honey depends on various factors. For example, on botanical source, like the source of the plant, what is the variety of the plant, and the pH of nectar. As we know, the honey is being produced from the nectar only. So the pH or the qualities of nectar will affect the pH of honey, and the soil concentration of different acids and minerals, for example, calcium, sodium, potassium, etc. So all these values affect the pH of honey. So therefore there is a range for the pH of honey, and that is from 3.5 to 5.5, and the average pH of honey is 3.9, and any alteration in the value of pH indicates either there is fermentation in the honey or there is an adulteration. Moving on to next question. Milk is pasteurized at 68.8 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes to eliminate Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Coxiella burnetii, Listeria monocytogenes, Callus cereus. Okay, so first let's understand what is pasteurization. So pasteurization is a process in which the milk is heated to a particular temperature, and then it is holded for that temperature for particular time period, and then it is cooled down quickly to less than 3 degrees Celsius temperature. So this process will give a thermal shock to all the microorganisms which are present in the milk. So due to this thermal shock, the microorganisms will get inactivated or they will get killed. So therefore pasteurization is a technique by which the shelf life of milk is extended. So to check the efficiency of pasteurization, like whether the pasteurization has been done properly or not, we check for certain enzymes and for the microorganisms presence. If those particular microorganisms or those particular enzymes have been inactivated, it means the pasteurization has been done properly. So for the efficiency of pasteurization, we check the presence of a microorganism, and the name is Coxiella burnetii. So the answer to this question is option B, Coxiella burnetii. So it is the most heat resistant non-spore forming pathogen, and it is commonly found in milk, and it is a causative agent for Q fever in human beings. So if the Coxiella burnetii microorganism has been killed in the milk, it means rest all other non-spore forming pathogens have also been killed. So therefore this microorganism is used as a indication for efficiency of pasteurization. Next question. Rapid heating of cream by injection of steam is called, and the options are pasteurization, sterilization, vacuation, thermostabilization. So just in the previous question we have learned about pasteurization of milk. So in the same way, the cream is being also pasteurized to kill the microorganism, to inactivate the enzymes. So the pasteurization of cream is done under vacuum. So the cream is being treated with vacuum pasteurization, and the answer to this question is vacuation. So the vacuation is vacuum pasteurization. In this, the milk cream is being pasteurized by reducing the pressure by the direct injection of steam. So in this process we inject the steam which is at very high temperature, and due to that the microorganisms are being killed, and we reduce the pressure. So the pasteurization is being done at a reduced pressure or at vacuum. Therefore it is known as vacuum pasteurization, and it removes the feed and other volatile flavors from cream. And in this process we heat the cream with high pressure steam at temperature of 180 to 197 degrees Celsius, and the time period is less than for 1 second. So for a very short period of time a very high heat treatment is being given for the vacuum pasteurization of cream. And in this picture you can see the flow diagram for vacuation or vacuum pasteurization. Here you can see there are various units for this whole process. Next question. Lye peeling is done by using, and the options are brine solution, alkali solution, acid solution, or both B and C. So before going to the answer, let's first understand what is lye peeling. So peeling is very common term, means removing the skin from fruits and vegetables. So in the lye peeling, we remove the skin from vegetables by immersing the fruits or vegetables in hot caustic soda solution, and this hot caustic soda solution is known as lye solution. So in this, we dip our fruits or vegetables in hot caustic soda solution, and then we wash the fruits and vegetables in water, and this will remove the skin from the fruits and vegetable. And this is being performed in canning process, where we have to can vegetables. So for certain fruits and vegetables, lye peeling is being performed, for example from tomato. So in this picture also you can see how the lye peeling peel down the skin of the tomatoes. So the answer is option B, that is alkali solution, because caustic soda is a alkali. So here in this picture also you can see various methods of peeling. There is one manual peeling and the other one is lye peeling, in which they are dipping the fruits and vegetables into the hot caustic soda solution, and after that they have dipped it into water, and that has loosened out the skin of the fruit, and that has made it easy to be removed. Next question, unit of specific gravity is, and the various options are given. So let's first understand what is specific gravity. I hope you all must be very well aware of this term. It is very common term. So specific gravity is a ratio of density of a substance to the density of other substance. And usually we take water as the other substance, as a standard substance. So we find out the density of any substance with respect to water, then it is known as specific gravity. So as it is a ratio of the units which are having the same units, so these units will get cancelled out. So the unit for specific gravity is none. There is no unit for specific gravity. So the answer is option D, none of the above, because the specific gravity is a unitless number. Here you can see specific gravity is equals to density of object upon density of water. As the units for density of object and density for water are same, they will get cancelled out. So specific gravity will be a unitless number. Next question, hydrocooling of fruits is carried out to remove external heat, surface heat, field heat, or both A and B. So we know that during the harvesting of fruits or vegetables, the product will entrap certain amount of heat, and that field heat will increase the chances of damage to the cells and tissues, and thus ultimately it will decrease the product quality. So it is very important to cool the produce rapidly after harvesting to avoid tissue damage. And that is being done by immersing the fruits and vegetables into cold water or ice just after harvesting. And this process is known as hydrocooling. So hydrocooling is done to remove field heat. Option C, answer is option C, field heat. So hydrocooling is required to reduce the field heat so that the damage to tissues can be inhibited. And in this picture you can see the hydrocooling process. The fruits and vegetables beings are immersed or being sprinkled with ice water or cold water to remove the field heat. Next question, peroxide value is the measure of degree of unsaturation, degree of saturation, amount of carbon present, degree of oxidation. So the answer to this question is option D, degree of oxidation. So we know that fat are of two types, saturated fat and unsaturated fat. Unsaturated fats and oils are susceptible to oxidation, and during oxidation they produce peroxides, and these peroxides or the hydroperoxides are the primary oxidation products, which will ultimately affect the sensory and quality of the oils and fats. So by measuring the peroxide value, we can find out what is the degree of oxidation in the fats and oils. And how peroxide value is being measured? For this, we take the sample, we will dissolve it, and we will add certain amount of potassium iodate to it. So this peroxide which is being present in the sample, it will oxide a portion of iodide and will form iodine. Now this iodine is titrated with sodium thiosulfate with starch as an indicator, and then the values are being put up in this formula to find out the peroxide value. If the peroxide value is less than 10 milliequivalent per kg of oil, then it means the oil is still fresh. There is no oxidation in the oil. But if the peroxide value ranges from 30 to 40 milliequivalent per kg of oil, it means the rancidity has been started in the oil and it is not safe to use the particular oil. Next question. Father of canning is Nicholas Appert, Peter Durand, Louis Pasteur, Alexander Fleming, and the photo of the scientist has been given. So the answer is option A, Nicholas Appert. He is known as father of canning, and it took nearly 14 years of experimentation for him to develop the canning process. And in the honor of his name, canning is also known as appertization. Next question. In India, finger millet is known as, and the options are jawar, bajra, ragi, chawal. So the answer to this question is option C, that is ragi. Ragi is also known as finger millet, and it has got a lot of nutritional benefits. It is considered as a drought tolerant crop. It can be harvested in those areas which are having a moderate to low rainfall, and it is very high in protein and mineral content. We can say that 100 gram of ragi can fulfill 20% of daily requirement of protein. So that much amount of protein it carries. And here you can see this is how the ragi looks like, as the shape looks like a finger, therefore it is also known as finger millet. Next question, and the last one. Homogenization of milk increases its whitening power due to increase in concentration, increase in size, increase in surface area, increase in viscosity. So let's first see the answer and then we will see the discussion part of this. So the answer is option C, increase in surface area. So homogenization leads to increase in surface area, and that will lead to whitening of milk. Now how all this is related? So first let's understand about what is homogenization. So homogenization is a process in which we break down the fat molecules of the milk. Here in this picture you can see the raw milk, which are and the fat globules are dispersed into this. So when we chill the milk, the fat globules will combine together and they will come on the surface and they will form a creamy layer on the surface. So to prevent this creaming of the fat, we perform a step which is known as homogenization. And in this homogenization, we reduce the size of fat globules into smaller particles, and they will then disperse evenly throughout the milk. And it is done by pumping the milk through a very small opening under very high pressure. In this picture also you can see we are feeding our milk, and through a very small opening the milk is being passed, and then the fat globules get broken down into smaller pieces, and then they will get evenly distributed in the milk. So the homogenization gives milk its rich white color, smooth texture. Now how this homogenization is being related to the whiteness of milk? So first of all, let's understand that milk has various constituents present in it. For example, water, fat, protein, and certain other constituents also. So the tiny particles of these fat and proteins reflect the light and they will scatter the light. And due to this scattering of light, the milk appears to be white. So as in homogenization, we are breaking down the fat globules. A bigger fat globule has been broken down into smaller particles. So the surface area has been increased up. As the more surface area is there for the light to get scattered, more light will be scattered, and thus the whiteness of the milk will increase. So this is how the homogenization process has been linked to whitening of milk. So that is it for today's video. I hope it must have given you a better understanding of some more MCQs of food technology. So if you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up and please share it with your friends so that they also can be benefited. And please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.